Today we're going to be solving the infamous S14 tachometer problem. The first step is going to be to remove the steering column cover, and to do that there's 6 screws that hold it on. There's one there, and the other side's just a mirror image. So we're going to go ahead and take those screws out and pull the steering column cover off. I got the 6 Phillips head screws taken out of the bottom of that, so now you're just going to pull out this little trim piece that goes around the ignition switch. Just pulls right out, and then this will separate into 2 pieces, and that's how we're going to take it off. Now that the steering column cover is off, we can go ahead and remove this plastic piece that goes around the gauges, and also this part comes off with it. It looks like it's 2 separate pieces from there to there, but those are actually all the same piece. And to remove that, there's 2 screws that are in the top of it. And then once you take that out, the rest of it just is like push pins, so it'll all pull out as one piece. Found the easiest way to remove this is you're going to want to push down your lock for the steering column adjustment. Push that all the way down and pull your steering column all the way down, and just halfway lock it so that it's not in the way of this piece. And then the best way to remove this is to pull it out at the bottom, and then once you pull it out at the bottom, the whole thing will drop down, and then the top part will come out too. And then so now that this is loose, we have to disconnect the wires on the back sides. There's plugs for these switches on both sides, so we're just going to disconnect those real quick. Alright, I got those connectors unplugged, and they can be a bit tricky to disconnect. But if you use a little flathead screwdriver like this, you can press the buttons that you're going to push on these, that one right there, and then on this one, let's see, right there. They are a bit tricky. They're on the bottom side, and it's a tight space to work in, but if you use the flathead screwdriver to push those, and then you can kind of wiggle it with your other hand to get it out. Now we're down to the gauges, and we're ready to remove those. So there's just 3 Phillips head screws that are holding it in. The one at the top, and then you've got one on each side at the bottom, down right there, and then on this side, right there. The gauges are now out. Once you take those 3 screws out, you'll be able to pull the gauges really far forwards, and there's 3 connectors on the back side that you have to disconnect. These 3 white ones, and you don't have to worry about remembering where they go, because they're all unique in that they won't fit in the spot for any of the other plugs, so it's pretty self-explanatory. So this is what the back side of the gauges look like. This is the complete cluster just as it comes out of the car. So now to get to the back side of the tach, we're going to have to separate this. So where these black tabs are, they just push in, and once you push those in, then you can slide the 2 pieces apart. So I went ahead and loosened those tabs that I mentioned, and then once you do that, the 2 parts will separate like so. And so what you're left with, this is just the clear plastic cover, and then this is your actual gauges. So now what you have to do is go on the back side, and you're going to remove those screws right there, those Phillips screws that are holding in your tachometer. So if you're looking at the cluster like this, on the back side, the screws that you're going to be removing are the four right there that are in kind of a square shape. And then once you take those four screws out, then the tachometer will just lift out. So all I did with this out was go around and hit each one of the solder points and just remelt the solder. Just the idea is that if any of the connections the solder's cracked or whatever, that's what usually causes the problem. So we just went around and remelted all the solder, and we're going to put it back in and see if it works. I went ahead and put the gauges back in the car, and we're going to test it out and see how it works. So right now the key's off, and the first test will be originally when you would turn the ignition on, the tach would go straight to 8,000 RPM. So first let's turn the ignition on and see what happens. Alright, so far so good, it's staying at 0. Now let's go ahead and start it up and see if it works properly. Luckily it worked on the first try, so that means we're done with the soldering. So we're going to go ahead and put the trim back in that goes around the gauges. We got the plastic trim piece back in, and don't forget to plug these plugs back up for the dimming switch, and then also if you have cruise control, hook that up. The bottom of this plastic just pushes back in with like some push tab type things, and then the two screws in the top, and then all that's left now is to put the steering column shroud back on. The steering column shroud's back on, so we're done. Everything's back together, and we'll just do one last startup to show it working.